Hi, everybody. I'm back from traveling and I'm going to do 2 weeks of food diary. Let's do some quick updates. We're going to skip Sense this week and we're going to skip the Top Chef recap because I didn't watch it because I've been traveling. Except I'll mention that I have a magnolia flower in my house and it bloomed and it's perfuming the whole house, which I guess is possible when you have a 900 square foot house. Let's start with some updates and then, geez, I do have a number of internet things to cover as well. Okay. First of all, food news. Allison Roman is opening a Brooklyn Heights cafe and grocery. It's going to be called First Bloom. First launch in the Catskills, followed by a pop-up store last November in the Lower East Side. Interesting. The comments are, we just want a regular grocery store. Can someone please explain to me why this is happening? Great, another place to buy $80 of olive oil. $80 olive oil. There's some people that are excited as well. Is this Allison Roman's attempt to enter the private equity space? Maybe she's already been bought out by private equity. I'm not sure. All right, let's get to another item. I've learned about what Brian describes as a goth coffee shop called Chapel of Bones in Raleigh. It's also a music venue. The previous day, before I learned about Chapel of Bones, I was driving through the Richmond, Virginia area to North Carolina with my sisters, and we saw a billboard for a store that said the Gothic Cowboy store, pull over now. So I had to look it up. There's a store in Raleigh called Saturn Return that is very Gothic Cowboy themed. Oh, going back to the goth coffee shop for a second, they have pentagram latte art. So might be worth a visit. I have a donut update for you. If you remember a couple weeks ago, our new office manager at work brought in donuts and I couldn't figure out where they're from. I did email her and ask her. They're from Daily Donuts in Graham, North Carolina. dailydonuts.shop. It's not a secure website, but the website is incredible and I do encourage you to visit it. It is simply a picture of their storefront, and then when you scroll down, it's a gallery of Wikipedia style photos, no background of the donuts. Somebody took pictures of these donuts with the flash on and removed the background. And, the edges are not perfect. It's looking rough. But it's really just a gallery of donut PNGs, and it's incredible. Maybe one of my new favorite websites. And they look amazing. Okay, what else do we have? Rose Marie is closing. Rose Marie is the sister restaurant to Yellow Rose. And this reminded me a lot of some restaurants that I've worked at. Now, I've never been to Yellow Rose. I'm a big fan of their Instagram. If I ever do a food tour in New York, it's definitely on my list. So I worked at Pies and Thighs, which tried to open a sister location and that failed. Worked at Mission Chinese. They opened a sister location that I think was Mexican themed and that failed. And then Mission Chinese, the main location in Brooklyn, failed itself, although I guess they are retaining their original San Francisco location. Commodore, I used to work at Commodore, and most of their second, third, fourth, fifth locations are closed now. I worked at El Cortez, which was their Mexican tiki bar. That's closed. They had a ski bar, like a ski lodge themed bar in Greenpoint. I don't think that's there anymore. And then they had a bar in the Catskills that I believe was attached to a hotel that I believe is closed. I decided to check out the Commodore website, and they have a second Commodore. They have something called the Commodore 2, which I didn't realize. They also have a place called the Drift, which actually the Drift might be the ski place. Yeah, so never mind. I think that's the ski place, but I don't remember. Anyway, I wonder what it is about having a second sister location that is so difficult, because you would think it would help them make money, but do you really have to expand into like 10 locations in order for it to make sense and work out? Is the having one sister location always a death sentence? Is it like you're piling on too much administrative burden, but you're not reaping the benefits of scaling and cost yet because you only have one other location? Those are my thoughts. I have a niece's sausage update. That's the sausage that comes in wax paper in the shape of a bar of soap. Now, local North Carolina news stations have been reporting that Niece's sausage failed a health inspection. Maybe the owner had died. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, turns out they owe over $30,000 to their packaging company. So things are not going well for them. I haven't seen Niece's sausage in my local food line, but I'm going to check. It might be the end of Niece's sausage. Finally, some good news. According to Medical News Today, cooking at least one meal at home weekly may cut dementia risk by up to 67%. That's not bad. This is based on real studies. A study published in the Journal of Epidemiology and Community Health. Great. So I encourage you to cook at home if you can. Okay, we're skipping sense. Let's get on to the internet. Now, great. I just have a bunch of TikTok links. Let's open them. Oh, Sugarology 101 does an in-depth report on how to get the crackly skin on a brownie. And she says it's about the sugar. The sugar must be sucrose, the molecule found in white sugars. It's all about the ratio of the sucrose to the water. The sucrose must be fully dissolved in whatever liquid you're using in the recipe. Anyway, if you want to learn more, she does extensive testing. Check it out. Next TikTok video. Who are you? Words with Bones. Starbucks in Korea. Their CEO was fired. Why? I'm watching this video. Oh, they launched a new coffee cup called Tanks on Tank Day, which was a day where tanks rolled out and killed people. Not good. Sounds like a Nathan for You episode. Okay. Next TikTok video from from Foods with Finn, Finn. Pastry Fusions LLC in Guilford, Connecticut are doing a Italian rainbow cookie donut. FYI. If you can get your hands on it. All right, final TikTok video. Ooh. Roving Haggis is this user. Well-fired morning buns. So these look like very typical dinner rolls, but the tops are burnt intentionally. And it is looking nice. And then she puts a bunch of butter and sausage on it. I think the next time I make dinner rolls, they never are brown enough for me, even though I egg wash them. I might broil them and burn them intentionally. So this is just like a flour and lard and milk and yeast. Pretty simple dough. And then you scorch the tops. Started off as a mistake, and they'd give them away to people for cheap, but it became so well loved. It's a thing now. I would like to make these. All right, I want to share a website with you called the it's the Condiment Package Archive. You can go to condimentpacket.com. This person is collecting and indexing and archiving condiment packets of all kinds. And they have all sorts of, you could do packet roulette, and it shows you a random packet. You can sort by brand. There are collections. I mean, it's really impressive. I don't know how they made all this, or it seems to just be like a passion project, and it's actually incredible. They have 2,722 packets in total. Check it out. Okay, I have an internet update. Last internet update before we get into the last 2 weeks of food. The Valley. This week's episode of The Valley, well, I guess it was episode 8 maybe. Brittany is having a mommy makeover surgery. The night before her surgery, she invites everybody over to her house and has a giant crab boil. The night before her surgery. Great news. The surgery was successful. We got all of the crab out of you. Now we're going to have to reschedule the main surgery. Why would you eat a bunch of crab before surgery? I don't think you can do that. Then someone decides to set up a meal train for her because she's having the surgery, and Brittany lets everybody know that her son loves lo mein. So she's setting up a lo mein train. And then Kristen orders a Buffalo Trace with half Coke, half diet, which I found amusing. Brian said that is very common from his bartending days. Okay, let's get into what I ate over the last 2 weeks. May 18th, 2026, it was a Monday. 8 a.m., counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 1 p.m., Utz extra dark sourdough pretzels with Cedar's garlic hummus. 4 p.m., a slice of white American cheese. 6 p.m., lasagna made at home. 7:30 p.m., Bluebell cookies and cream ice cream. The Cedar's garlic hummus, I wasn't really impressed with it, but in combination with the pretzels and all the salt on the pretzels, really amps up the flavor and the hummus experience. Stop and Shop. I remember riding around in the front of a grocery cart at Stop and Shop with my mom in the early 90s. And when she would go to the deli, they would give me a slice of Land O'Lakes white American cheese. That's what grocery store white American cheese tastes like to me. Not the pre-wrapped stuff, the kind from the block that they slice. That's what that tastes like. I don't know why I ate that at 4 p.m. I watched Real Housewives of Rhode Island, and it inspired me to make a giant lasagna before I left town. I made a red sauce with ground beef, used a pound of ground beef and a pound of meatball mix because the meatball mix was cheaper than the ground beef, probably because it has a bunch of pork in it. Onion, garlic, tomato paste, chiltepin peppers, gustiamo oregano, a can of muti tomatoes, tomato puree, chicken stock, fresh basil. I made a bechamel, pretty simple, 4 tablespoons of butter, 4 tablespoons of flour, a ton of black pepper, 3 to 4 cups of milk, salt. I added some American cheese, some of that white American cheese for fun, and some nutmeg. I used a giant bag of shredded mozzarella and some parm. I probably did about 7 layers overall. It was a huge lasagna. The last time I made lasagna, I undersalted it, which was super disappointing. It's hard to because you're with the noodles, you're not really, well, let's see, I used the no boil noodles, so it's like you're not really salting them. I guess when you soak them in water, you could salt the water, but anyway, I thought, let me salt the layers of lasagna noodles as I go. And you know what? I was a little too heavy-handed with the salt, I have to say. And this ended up tasting like an Olive Garden lasagna. You know how Olive Garden lasagna is like just on the verge of being too salty? That's what it tasted like. It had an Olive Garden level of salt. And I just want to say Good Pops, which are available. I don't know. I find them at Whole Foods. Every summer, I buy a bag of them for Brian, the electrolyte pops, especially when he was working outside on a farm all day. He would get home and eat them. But so, yeah, the last few summers I've been buying them, and every summer they are different. Now they're super short. I mean, it's shrinkflation for sure, but the packaging is different and they even taste different. They tasted weird last year. They taste amazing this year. The peach lemonade is so lemony in a true lemon way, not too sweet. Berry lemonade is great too. Tropical lemonade, they're great. Okay, May 19th, 2026 was a Tuesday, 8 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 10 a.m. Utz extra dark sourdough pretzels with Cedars garlic hummus. 2 p.m. A bologna burger with ketchup and mustard and 2 deviled eggs at Studley General Store in Studley, Virginia. 6 p.m. An Eichbaum Pilsner draft and a small pretzel with cheese sauce and mustard at Prost, DC. 7:30 p.m. A half pour of 2023 XXVI Talhas Antalvaz Rupero Doña Branco de Tareco. A half pour of 2021 Argyle Chardonnay Blanc de Blanc Brut Willamette Valley, and a half pour of 2024 Susana Esteban Aragon Toriga Nacional Aventura, and a small pour of Envy Tapis Malbec Extra Brut. Am I just speaking gibberish? So yeah, I drove up to DC this day to drive up a bunch of coffee cup merch to some folks I knew who were having a workshop, and sort of took my time wandering about and stopped outside of Virginia to Studley General Store, which was a mistake because they don't have a bathroom and their food was terrible. But they do have a fridge in the back that is full of gorgeous local meat, which, I bring a cooler next time and stock up on that. So yeah, I'm driving through Tidewater architecture country, which is the best architecture of the South, in my opinion. Driving through Virginia, I gotta say, it smelled like Tree of Heaven the whole time, which, if you don't know what Tree of Heaven smells like, it smells like that Mexican candy that comes in a circle and it's peanut flavored and it's really dry and crumbly. I think it's called like La Rosita or something like that. I did stop at a random Virginia McDonald's and I mixed Dr. Pepper and Diet Coke, which ended up tasting like watermelon. And let's see. Oh, I just put a link in here to Studley's General Store. I panicked and I didn't read the menu long enough. I panicked and ordered the fried bologna to get it out of my system. Fried bologna is basically a circular hot dog. I panicked and I got ketchup and mustard on it like an idiot. Got some pork, uncured pork sweet heat sticks for my sister, and I forgot to give them to her, so now they're in my fridge. I'll probably eat them. I only got charged for one. As soon as I ordered my sandwich, I heard him start the microwave and I said, I've made a mistake. So I got a microwave sandwich and 2 deviled eggs that were sitting on a styrofoam plate wrapped up in plastic wrap. I don't know why I got that. They desperately needed salt. It wasn't great, but I would go back for the local meat. Now, speaking of general stores, I recently learned that Buchanan's General Store, which is really just 30 minutes north of my house near the lake, is the oldest continuously operating family-owned general store in the Southeast. NPR did a piece on it, or PBS. So I might have to hit that place up. It's geared toward lake people, so it has a lot of lake stuff. But maybe I should check out their sandwich selection. I did drive past Mama Steve's House of Pancakes, which I think I went to with my family when we were little and visiting Williamsburg in Virginia. Mama Steve's. Is her first name Steve? Mama Steve has pretty bad ratings. Okay, so got into DC. It was 98 degrees. I was walking around sweating, not knowing what to do. I gotta say, the Santal 33 is flowing in DC. Downtown DC smells like boys doused in Santal 33, blasting by you on a Lime scooter, creating a virtual wind tunnel of Le Labo. It's like a drive-by shooting. Went to Prost. I just needed a beer. I was sweating. If your boyfriend was at Prost DC on Tuesday, May 19th at 6 p.m., he described you as an habanero pepper to his friends. A big group of guys sitting behind me, and they were all rating how spicy their girlfriends were based on peppers. Not spicy in the bedroom spicy, but personality-wise. Another guy, if your boyfriend was part of this friend group, he described you as not a ghost pepper, but not a bell pepper, maybe an habanero. Means nothing. What else? I ended up walking around for about 2 hours. I was going to go to a gelato place, but all the lights were turned off. And I said, is this place open? And then I realized it was. There was an employee sitting there behind the counter on a chair on her phone in the dark. It was definitely open. I didn't go inside. It looked abandoned. I ended up spotting this wine bar, Maxwell's, next to this Ethiopian place that looked really good. But I don't think that you can really eat Ethiopian food alone. It's called Share, like the singer, Cher. It was in an old white brick building with people streaming in and out of it. It had like a little bodega type store in the basement. Across the street from Unconventional Diner, there was also a Italian place down the street called San Lorenzo. Brian was telling me you got to go there. But no, I ate Italian food the last time I was alone in a city. And I also keep hearing that DC has the best Ethiopian food. And I hear that from people who are from DC, so maybe they're biased, but I do regret not getting Ethiopian food. But again, I think that's a really hard thing to eat by yourself. You need a big group. So I went to Maxwell Wine Bar. Sat alone at the bar. I was surrounded by people on dates from hell. Maxwell Wine Bar has a Crunchwrap Supreme on their menu. Let's see. I sat down next to a woman who seemed to be a regular there. The bartender knew her. She told me that she paid $10,000 for 3 matches with a matchmaking service and specifically requested that she not be matched with people who are super religious and maybe don't drink alcohol, and was immediately matched with a religious man who did not drink alcohol. And they met up at that wine bar the previous week, and it was such a bad date that the bartender remembered it and asked her how she was after that date. I started to ask her about the date, and she would not stop touching me. I asked her if she had seen the show on Bravo called Millionaire Matchmaker, and she had no idea what I was talking about. She's older than me. She seemed to be doing well. Well enough that she can spend $10K on a matchmaking service. Anyway, the bartender gave us a pour of sparkling Malbec, which was delicious. So let me talk about the wines that I drank. I told the bartender that I was like, do you have any recommendations? Like, here's what I like. I said, I like Brett yeast. I like tannic dry wines. I know those are super different. Anyway, he recommended me these 3 wines, and I said, yeah, let's do a half pour of each, like a flight. I was really impressed with his recommendations. The orange wine, let me see. Let me scroll back up to these. I absolutely loved the sparkling Chardonnay from Willamette Valley. That was delicious. The orange wine kind of tasted like tinned fish. And then the red was really nice and spicy and dry. The Aventura. That was excellent. And I was like, wow, what amazing recommendations. And then the longer I sat there and listened, I realized that he was recommending those wines to every single person that sat down. So never mind. Also, I checked out the DC 7-Eleven to see if they have the Fresca slushy. They do not. May 20th, 2026, it was a Wednesday. 8:30 a.m. Coffee with half and half from Warka Coffee in Washington, D.C. 9:30 a.m. Coffee with half and half of a za'atar everything bagel with lox, tomatoes, and roasted vegetable cream cheese from Call Your Mother in Washington, D.C. 12:30 p.m. A Crunchy Boy from Compliments Only in Washington, D.C. 6:30 p.m. A Decopan Daisy Highball, sushi, baked crab hand rolls, a steamed pork dumpling, popcorn cauliflower, tuna crispy rice, part of a chicken slider, and a mini pink frosted heart-shaped donut at Love Makoto in Washington, D.C. So some people I do contract work for were holding a leadership workshop in DC. So I got to eat all the food that they got. But before that, I stopped at Warka Coffee. It had really good reviews and it was right around the corner. I was standing in line. I was going to get a large cold brew, but then I watched one of the baristas behind the counter drop the ice scoop on the floor and put it back. So I got a hot coffee on a 98-degree day. I should have just turned around and left. Let's talk about Call Your Mother because they are rapidly expanding. Private equity is a big theme of this episode. We're like at the end, 10 years from now, we're just going to be eating private equity restaurants. There aren't going to be any independently owned restaurants anymore. They're a DC chain. They're supposed to be Montreal, New York hybrid style bagels. The bagels are fine. Like, I'm sure they were good when they initially were a small thing at the farmer's market. They're mass-produced whatever bagels at this point. Bready, they don't have a good chew. They're expanding into Chicago, which is a big news story. People are mad that it's going to drive out the local bagel chains in Chicago. The roasted vegetable cream cheese was great. The lox was good. The branding is very Miami coded. Now, someone at Georgetown Law picked out all of these restaurants for this workshop. I didn't, I was just there to drop off merch basically. And, I was going to drive up to see my parents anyway. And I was like, yeah, if I can just run this errand for somebody on my drive up and help pay my way with the price of gas, I'll do it. And I'll eat some DC food while I'm at it. Okay, so this person at Georgetown Law picked out all these restaurants. And based on before I met her, based on her food choices, I thought, you know what? I bet that this woman loves Alana Cohn. She showed up to the workshop in a head-to-toe Alana Cohn outfit. There's a correlation there. Lunch, compliments only. Compliments only are, in quotes, chef-inspired subs. that basically taste like bodega sandwiches, if we're being honest. They taste like airplane sandwiches. Cheap ass grocery store Italian bread. Um, I went on their website. They seem like Anthony Bourdain worshippers. Nothing wrong with Anthony Bourdain, but it's a flavor. The crunchy boy was a soggy boy with all the pickles, in my opinion. But like half the sandwich was soggy, half the sandwich was crunchy. The garlic aioli was excellent, and they stuffed it with ruffled Utz chips, which I think were sour cream and onion flavored, which I loved. And I saw this food order come in and noticed that somebody ordered burger cookies, but only a package of 2 for themselves from Compliments Only. I freaked out and I forgot. I've talked about burger cookies because of my trip to Baltimore. I said, I need to get burger cookies. So I did spend, I don't know, a few hours of my time in DC walking around a different giant supermarket. That's the supermarket name, Giant. Walking around a different giant supermarkets looking for burger cookies, and I did finally find them, and I brought them home for my sisters. Ended up going out to dinner with some people at Love Makoto, which is fine. It's like a mall. It's like a giant mall with different Japanese restaurants in it. The Decopan Daisy was Joven tequila, ume plum, and yuzu. It was delicious. It was a highball over Sonic Ice. Lovely. I almost got the Hidden Jaguar, which was Blanco tequila, maraschino, cinnamon, kabosu, and sesame chili. But the food was pretty mediocre, I have to say. The sushi was fine. I mean, I can't even think of anything that excited me from it. The chicken slider was way too sweet. The pork dumpling was great. I guess I would go back for a cocktail. May 21st, 2026. It was a Thursday, 9 a.m. Coffee with half and half, strawberries, pineapple, and blueberries, and a frosted babka from Call Your Mother in Washington, D.C. 2 p.m. Bean and cheese pupusas with jalapeno crema and slaw from La Casita Pupusas in Washington, D.C. 9 p.m. A pour of talia al dente and chicken milanese with wild greens, cornichon vinaigrette, and shaved Parmesan stravecchio at Middle Child Clubhouse in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The babka, the frosted babka from, what's it called? What the hell? Call Your Mother in DC was incredible. Loved it. Private equity has never tasted so good. They forgot all of the cream cheeses and schmears for the bagels, so we just had plain bagels and babka and fruit. Do I need to go into describing the babka further? It was just like all the best parts of a cinnamon roll without the mess of eating a cinnamon roll. It was like drier, but like it didn't taste dry. It was like it had a lot of butter and grease. That's terrible. I'm butchering this description. It was a delicious. When I think of babkas, I think of like something kind of dry, like you wish you were eating a cinnamon roll. Not in this case. It was wonderful. Strong butter and cinnamon flavor. The pupusa order was about 3 hours late, which was a disaster. So 3 hours after lunch was supposed to happen, 3 people on 3 bicycles came in a huddle to deliver all the food at once. All of the drinks had spilled. I felt bad for them, but they shouldn't have taken a order that big. I also ordered a chicken tamal, but it was not good. It was really not good. The pupusas were fine. So I ended up driving up to Philadelphia for the night and stayed at the River Suites Hotel at the Battery, which when I, went up to get a room, they let me know that they have basketball courts. Who cares? They have basketball courts and a shuttle bus to the casino. Great. I chose this hotel because it was sort of on the outskirts. It's in the city, but like on the outskirts. You're not like driving into the middle of the city. So I thought it'd be quieter. All the reviews on the hotels downtown were, yeah, there's no parking and it's loud, bring earplugs. But I also wanted a hotel that was walkable. I wanted to like park at a hotel easily and then be able to walk to a restaurant and then walk to coffee in the morning. That's all I wanted. So I thought this was a good compromise because it was in Fishtown. It was quieter because it was right next to the water. It was nice and dark. Um, and then I could walk around in Fishtown. And I was walking around at night and it felt like very safe. And it's tough. There are like 40 to 60 places that I want to eat at in Philly. So I really just had to pick a neighborhood. So at first I thought I was going to go to Fiorella because when you're eating alone, I like to have a bar seat, a bar or a counter seat, so I'm not taking up a full table. And at Fiorella, you can sit at the bar and watch them make pasta. I thought that'd be perfect, but the hotel parking situation, I didn't want to be that downtown. So I ended up going to Middle Child Clubhouse, which is, I guess, the sister location to Middle Child, which my sister, who is a middle child, has been to before and said it was great. So I was like, let me try it. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. So I got this Talea al dente, nice and crisp. It was described as nice and crispy. And it was. It's a Brooklyn brewery, I learned. Very dry. I wanted a lot of things on the middle child menu. They had 2 different Caesar salad options, one with kombu dressing. It was like a seaweed Caesar salad. So yeah, I ended up getting the chicken. It was covered in pickled peppers. The wild greens that it was supposed to come with were really just mixed greens. Came with a lemon cheek, came with a ton of cheese. And it was not one but 2 giant chicken cutlets. I should have just gotten the chicken cutlet over the Caesar salad, one of the Caesar salads, which was also an option. This place seems really trendy, like they just played the Smiths or like Wooden Ships the entire time. There was a really cool, chill bartender there that I ordered from. And then there was another bartender there who was so unchill. She was loudly flirting with every male employee there. I was like, how, like, trying to like look at the other bartender who was pretty chill and see if she was gonna like kill herself or not because I wouldn't make it through a full shift with this fawning flirty bartender. So these guy employees were flirting with this bartender, and one of them said that he was in a parody of Grease called Lard. And she was like, "Oh my God, really? That's so cool. Oh my God, you're so cool." Like she was being serious. And this went on all night, and I could hear it. It was at such a volume that I was across the room and I could hear all of it. I wouldn't have made it a single night working with her. Anyway, then I went to bed. May 22nd, 2026, it was a Friday. 9 a.m., coffee with half and half, and Fishtown scrapple plate with hash browns at Sulamay's in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. 4 p.m., half of a raspberry lemon pastel de nata and half of a cinnamon pastel de nata from Gilda's in Philadelphia, and half of a burger cookie. 6 p.m., buffalo chicken pizza and sausage and onion pizza from Vito's Restaurant and Pizzeria in Wethersfield, Connecticut. Okay, so I woke up and did another lap around Fishtown. I like Fishtown. It's like, the cheaper version of New York. So it's cheap enough that there are all kinds of weird businesses, weird small businesses around. I hope that Philadelphia can preserve that. I walked along the river. There was a beautiful park there. The river was high from all the rain. Now, this weekend, New York was like flooded out. So I don't know how Fishtown, which is on the water and like, a mile away from New York, was not also flooded out. But I mean, I've always thought about like, what if I lived? I've always considered living in Philadelphia. Not that I have a reason to, but I would live in Fishtown. I mean, I only spent like 18 hours there, but walked past like a trading card Pokemon store with a bunch of adult men trading Pokemon cards in it. It seemed like there was a lot going on. So I went to Sulame's. I don't know how to pronounce it. I sat at the turquoise seat at the bar. The seats were rainbow colored, rainbow leather or vinyl. And I was automatically given a hot, fresh, full pot of coffee without asking. It's an intentionally old school, unrenovated space. I mean, I'm assuming it was an unrenovated space that got taken over by new management because it looks straight out of the 70s. They play like old 70s music on a radio that's kind of fuzzy. There were two girls working. They both had the strongest Philly accents ever, intentionally blunt service, which is how they trained us. Like when I was a server at Pies and Thighs, I worked in the kitchen at Pies and Thighs, like doing pies and stuff and beverage, but I also worked front of house. And the service model when they trained you to be a server there was, be a diner waitress, be snappy, just kind of be like not rude, but just like be a diner waitress. And that's really what was going on here. I considered getting the eggs Bensington, which was scrapple, Cooper Sharp, and dippy eggs over white toast. I ended up getting the Fishtown scrapple, which was spicy whitefish scrapple, heirloom tomato, sunny side up eggs, pickled long hots, and comeback sauce. The spicy whitefish scrapple was not spicy. It was dry. It was 2 square patties that were huge. I couldn't even eat one of them. So the portions are great. It was good, but I don't know if I would get it again. It was on a bed of yellow heirloom tomatoes, which were great, and comeback sauce, which felt like a ketchup and mayonnaise type of sauce. The sunny side up eggs should have been covered or steamed a little longer because the whites were still raw. But this is a good spot. I would definitely go back there and probably try something else. Walked down to Gilda's and got a cold brew and picked up 6 beautiful egg custard tarts, the pastel de nata. I got 2 chocolate, 2 lemon raspberry, and 2 cinnamon. The custard was perfectly set. The pastry shell itself was so flaky and layered. And I brought these home to Connecticut. They traveled well. And, we left them out on the counter for a little bit. We put them back in the fridge for a little bit. We had some the next day. I find that usually when I have a pastry like 1 day later, 2 days later, they go stale and it's just not the same experience. But these kept their crunch and they were just perfect. So they travel well, they keep well. They're about $4 each, which was kind of steep. Yeah, so then I was in Connecticut. May 23rd, 2026 was a Saturday, 10 a.m. Rayon Jenna coffee with half and half of a toasted bagel from Seed Kitchen and Bagelry with vegetable cream cheese made at home in Connecticut. 1 p.m., a leftover slice of buffalo chicken pizza, sausage pizza, and a handful of Tostitos hint of lime chips. 6 p.m., gluten-free chicken katsu and onion rings with ranch and ketchup made at home in Connecticut and smashed cucumbers made by Anna. 7 p.m., half of a chocolate pastel de nata from Gilda. I got to pause. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, Brian's mom came to visit for a second. I skipped over Vito's Pizza. We order this often when we go home. It's not the best pizza. It's not like Connecticut, New Haven style pizza. It's not New York style pizza. It's a thicker type of pizza, thicker and doughier and softer, and with like a crackly, shattering crust. Like the outside, it's soft in the middle, but sort of shattering on the outside. I don't know how to describe it. Um, I've had similar pizzas in New England, but not really elsewhere. Maybe it's like Northern Connecticut style pizza. I don't know. But we always get the buffalo chicken pizza, and on the box they write Buff Chick as the abbreviation. So we do call it the Buff Chick pizza. Anyway, I went to the grocery store and I saw that the Glastonbury, Connecticut Whole Foods had the bacon Japanese barbecue sauce. Originally $8.99, so cheaper than my Whole Foods, down to $6.29. I'm kicking myself. I could have saved $3. $2.70. My mom likes me to fry food when I'm home, because my dad doesn't like to fry food for her. I love to fry food, so I'm all about it. Now, I've made her these Serious Eats foolproof onion rings, and I made them a second time. Let's click through to the recipe. All right. Let me read it to you. 2 large onions, 2 quarts peanut oil, 1 cup all-purpose flour. I used gluten-free baking flour, that cup to cup or like cup for cup brand that you can substitute. Half a cup of cornstarch, 1 teaspoon baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon baking soda, half a teaspoon of paprika, 3/4 cup of light flavored beer. Now, the first time I made these onion rings, I got a gluten-free beer, which worked out well. This time, I forgot my ID when I went to Whole Foods, so I just got seltzer, which was fine. And then a 1/4 cup of 80 proof vodka and kosher salt. And you fry them at 375. They puff up. You make the batter. Obviously, you make the batter. What am I talking about? You make the batter until it's like, I don't know, like a pancake batter, I would say. That's what I was trying to say. Pancake batter consistency. I have fun making them. And I also made gluten-free chicken katsus using the 4-cup brand panko and 4-cup seasoned breadcrumbs. I combined them. One of my sisters said they were the crispiest chicken cutlets she ever had. They were hard to tell when they were done because they don't brown in the same way as a wheat-based cutlet. So, yeah, they just don't get as brown, and I couldn't tell when they were done or not. But they were super crispy. They had great flavor. I used eggs, maybe 3 or 4 eggs. I mean, geez, I made like 12 cutlets because my mom wanted me to freeze some of them for them to air fry later. Eggs, mayonnaise, Grey Poupon, and a little bit of water. And I don't think that using eggs in the wet is the way to go, because I could see where I could see the egginess through the coating sometimes, and it was like an egg pocket. I don't have that problem when I just use mayonnaise and mustard and water or milk. It kind of gets gummy and dense in a weird way. But anyway, I thought these were great. My mom really wants me to try making Woodman's of Essex. I think it's a place in Massachusetts, I think. They do like fried clams and onion rings, and it's always gluten-free. They just use evaporated milk and corn flour for their batter. And so for Christmas, my mom wants me to try doing an evaporated milk and corn flour batter for clams and frying those. And Woodman's of Essex also fries stuff in lard. I bet that's good. I haven't gotten there yet. Hold on. May 24th, 2026. It was a Sunday. 10 a.m. Round Jenna coffee with half and half and a toasted sesame bagel from Seed Kitchen and Bagelry with vegetable cream cheese made at home. 2 p.m. Rainer cherries. 4 p.m., a handful of Tostitos hint of lime tortilla chips. 6 p.m., oven ribs and gluten-free macaroni and cheese made by my dad, and coleslaw made at home in Connecticut. 7 p.m., a mini Deitch's chocolate pretzel and half of a burger cookie. I didn't comment on this Raungena coffee. RAON capital JENA. Raungena. I guess is a local coffee place. My sisters picked up beans from there because they got it a little bit earlier. And another toasted sesame bagel from the local bagel place. They're decent bagels. Bagels just don't have that chew that I want anymore. Probably because I'm not in New York. My mom wanted us to try this Natalie's lemonade that she buys now, which I also recently saw. I went to Weaver Street Co-op and they have little bottles. My mom buys the large bottles. She had a guava lemonade that we tasted. It was actually, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I had a bad margarita that was kind of muddy and murky and didn't have enough acid. And it was kind of like this. It was not very tart or acidic. It was kind of murky, not very refreshing. Definitely tastes natural, but if I'm drinking lemonade, I want it to be tart and light. My dad made oven ribs. He only cooked them for 4 hours. He should have probably cooked them for 6. And he was mad that they weren't tender. He also made David Leibowitz's world's best macaroni and cheese recipe, which was insane. I mean, I think my dad probably should have cooked 3 times the amount of pasta he cooked for this recipe, because it was really just cheese with like a few noodles. Great. David Leibowitz won't let me on his website because I have an ad blocker. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Let's get to this. I wonder if I've made this. Oh, 2 tablespoons of butter, 3.5 tablespoons of flour, 1.5 cups of milk, half a teaspoon of kosher salt, 10 ounces of mixed grated sharp cheddar and Comté cheeses, quarter teaspoon chipotle powder, freshly ground black pepper, 6 ounces of pasta, half an ounce of grated Parmesan cheese. So maybe my dad did use the appropriate amount of pasta, but it seemed ridiculous. It was good though. And I made coleslaw. Let me tell you about it. I used Kenji's coleslaw recipe using his sugar and salt cure method. You cut up the coleslaw and the carrots and whatever else you're going to put in it, like vegetable wise. And then you put a bunch of sugar and salt over it, let it sit for 5 minutes, and then you rinse it. And then you stir it into the whatever sauce, mayonnaise-based sauce you're making. This was interesting. I should have given it like one final rinse because I could sort of taste the residual salt from the cure. But my sisters said that it tasted store-bought, which they said was a good thing. So I might start making my coleslaw this way. I used Hellmann's olive oil mayonnaise, rice wine vinegar, a lot of rice wine vinegar, sugar, salt, garlic powder, and dried parsley for the mayonnaise-based sauce. And it was good. My parents in their cabinet had a couple of jars of Mike's Amazing Real Mayonnaise, which I am curious about, but I wasn't going to open a brand new jar of mayonnaise. But I guess they have all kinds of condiments: mustard, vinegar, cooking oil, merch, New Jersey-based brand. I am curious. Okay, May 25th, 2026 was a Monday. 7 a.m., Raungena coffee with half and half made at home in Connecticut. 10 a.m., a sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffin and hash brown from McDonald's in rural New York. 3 p.m., a bean burrito and spicy potato soft taco from a Taco Bell in Tyson's Corner, Virginia, and a handful of gummy worms from Sheetz. 8 p.m., mixed olives from Whole Foods, Martin's jalapeno chips, and half a can of Berger Radler. So, as you guys know, I compete with people to see which one of us can see all 50 U.S. license plates per year the fastest. I used to compete with a friend's mom. Now I'm competing with my sister. So we were about to meet up, and I said, where are you in your license plate game? And she said, I've seen every license plate except for West Virginia. I said, I've seen every license plate except Wyoming. But we'll probably see West Virginia on the drive down to North Carolina from Connecticut, because my sisters came with me on this drive from Connecticut back down home. So I was like, well, Mary's going to, my sister Mary's going to win. She's immediately going to see a West Virginia license plate. So we get in the car to drive to North Carolina, and we stop 3 minutes down the road in, downtown Glastonbury to get an iced coffee, pull into the parking lot, and I see a Wyoming plate. So I won. Started screaming. I ran over to the truck and I took a picture of the license plate, and the guy who owned the truck came up to me and asked me if I wanted to buy his truck. I said no. Let's see. I wanted to avoid 95 traffic on Memorial Day. So I drove down 81 and 83 through Scranton and Shamokin, Pennsylvania, which was a gorgeous drive. Shamokin, have you heard of Shamokin, Pennsylvania? Because that's the place where there's that news video. It's the most insane news video ever made, where a girl lights a bathroom in a Dunkin' Donuts in Shamokin, Pennsylvania on fire, and then they interview the town residents about how much they're going to miss their Dunkin' Donuts. And when I talk about iced coffee, I say cold coffee. It's from that video. That woman's like, they got the cold coffee. Anyway, that's Shamokin, Pennsylvania. We drove through it. The nice thing about driving through Pennsylvania is that when you stop at a gas station, you can get Martin's chips. Martin's chips are cooked in shortening. So they just melt in your mouth. They're delicious, and they have all kinds of flavors. So I grabbed some of those. And yeah, I could imagine the Woodmans of Essex, I don't think I've been there, but they cook all their stuff in lard. I could imagine that their onion rings, here's their onion ring batter: evaporated milk and corn flour cooked in lard. It probably dissolves as soon as it hits your tongue. It's probably amazing. That's what these Martin's chips are like. They're so good. What did I get? I got a jalapeno flavor because I had never seen those before, and I didn't love it. It tasted like Old Bay seasoning. It tasted too salty. So yeah, got in around 8 p.m. to North Carolina after a day of driving and eating at Taco Bell. And I went into my room to go to bed. One of my sisters slept in the other room. One of them slept on the couch. My sister on the couch was messaging me on TikTok asking, can you hear my TikTok videos? And we were messaging each other back and forth. Can you hear my TikTok? No, we couldn't, which was incredible. But it did remind me. Do you remember the Ritz Bits sandwich and Swiss Miss pudding cup girl that I went to school with, who ate that every single day, who I can't find on the internet? Hope she's okay. Anyway, we used to sleep over in her basement. We used to have sleepovers down there. And, she wasn't the brightest, maybe because of her diet. But I remember we were in the dark basement, and for some reason, she went into a part of the basement that was like a glassed-in booth, and she went into the glass booth and turned the light on in the glass booth and yelled, "Can you see this?" We can. It's glass. We can see the light. And it did remind me of me and my sister just blasting TikTok videos all night, asking each other if we could hear it from on the other side of the wall. Okay, May 26, 2026. It was a Tuesday. 9 a.m. Round Jenna coffee with half and half made at home. I brought the beans. 12 p.m. An olive oil toasted slice of La Farm sourdough with butter and crunchy peanut butter made at home. 2 p.m. Utz extra dark sourdough pretzels. 4 p.m. 2 corn dogs, cheese curds, half of a chocolate malt milkshake, and a Cajun chicken wrap from Cookout in Oxford, North Carolina. 7:30 p.m. A pour of Hakutsuru Sayuri Nigori. Um, I mean, gotta go to Cookout. Every time my sisters come to North Carolina, we have to eat at Cookout. It's a rule at this point. I don't know what came over me to get corn dogs. You can't just order one corn dog too. They give you two, which is too many. The cornbread is kind of sweet. I mean, I'm glad I got it out of my system. I need to get fried bologna and corn dogs out of my system. So, um, I was gifted this bottle of Hakutsuru sake for driving that merch up to DC. I'm on their website now. Are you of legal drinking age? Yes. So let's talk about this sake. A gentle Junmai Nagori, aptly named Sayuri, meaning little lily, soft and floral, this Nagori is barely filtered to allow the aromatic sediments to remain, resulting in a dreamy, cloudy look. This was disgusting. I don't like sake. It tastes like melon. Anyway, I made a poolish because I was like, well, let's make pizza since we're all together. So I started a poolish because I don't have a sourdough. I used 50 grams of meadowlark bread flour, 50 grams of water, and a pinch of yeast. And I let it sit out. I probably went for too long. It kind of started to deflate, and then I put it in the fridge. So what are you going to do? Okay, May 27th, 2026. It was a Wednesday. 8:30 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 11:30 a.m. Crocantini crackers and Utz extra dark sourdough pretzels with Borson, boxcar doling cheese, Genoa salami, and cherries. 6 p.m. Green chili paneer, Hyderabadi style chicken 65, gongura dal tadka, butter masala chicken, and garlic naan at Naga's South Indian Cuisine in Durham, North Carolina. 7:30 p.m. Martin's jalapeno potato chips. I had those Rainer cherries from Whole Foods in Connecticut. They kind of sucked. These red cherries that I just got from Food Line were way better. I don't know why. Doling cheese. This boxcar Doling cheese is a local cheese. Boxcar. We used to get boxcar cheese all the time when Brian worked the food market. The farmers market, and they couldn't resell their cheese after it sitting being out at the farmers market all day. They would give it all to Brian. We always had a fridge full of boxcar cheese. This Doling cheese is a chive-studded bloomy rind goat cheese that I let it temp out for like 2 or 3 hours. You would think it would be nice and soft, but it was just kind of solid, and it didn't have that fatty creaminess that you would want from a softer cheese. I didn't love it. Dropped off one of my sisters at the airport and went to Naga's, which was next to a place called Town of Fun. So I went there with one of my sisters and Brian. And let me tell you, this was recommended to us by someone from New Delhi, India, the person whose house we ate at. He made us Indian food. He said, the best Indian food in the triangle is Nagas. I'm going to agree. The green chili paneer, I'm going to read you the description. Fried Indian cottage cheese cooked in basil paste with onions, bell peppers, spices, chilies, and herbs. This was red for some reason. I really thought the green chili paneer would have been green. They did have fried baby corn on the menu, which we did not order. They had a couple different styles of chicken 65. We got the Hyderabadi style, well-marinated boneless chicken with Indian spices and sauté with chef-made 65 sauce. Great lime flavor. Then we got the gongura dal tadka, Andhra-style dal featuring protein-rich lentils tempered with zesty gongura. This was excellent. It was so full of aromatics. It was insane, but not in the way where you're like, oh, there's a bunch of weird stuff floating around in this. It was all perfect. It didn't have to like spit anything out or pull anything out. I had to look up what gongura was. It's a variety of the roselle plant grown for its edible leaves in India and other countries like Fiji. The leaves are used in South Central Indian cuisine to impart a tart flavor. Cool. I'm on the Wikipedia page. It's good for you. Okay. The butter masala chicken, sautéed in butter and freshly roasted cashew and spice paste. I thought that this butter masala chicken was strangely cinnamon forward, strangely garam masala forward. I guess I'm not used to that with butter chicken, but it was great. The garlic naan was great. They gave us an extra bowl of red onions and lime wedges. The red onions were sliced so strangely that I wondered if they even used a knife. Although the lime wedges were sliced perfectly, so that was really confusing. I would go back tomorrow. I can't wait to try more things at this place. We're the only people at the restaurant. It was strange. Except there was this guy who pulled up in the craziest looking car I've ever seen, decals all over it, and everybody in the restaurant rolled out to see him. They all knew him, and he got a big order to go. Seems like the place for Indian food. Okay, May 28th, 2026 was a Thursday, 9 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 11:30 a.m. Spicy chicken tenders from Food Lion with ketchup. A slice of toasted La Farm sourdough with Danish butter made at home and cherries. 3 p.m. Mixed olives, Genoa salami, a handful of stale Smart Food popcorn, and 2 Nerds strawberry punch flavored juicy gummy clusters. 6 p.m. Detroit-style pepperoni pizza and arugula with Parmesan, black pepper, olive oil, and balsamic vinegar made at home, and a small pour of Bitburger Radler. 7 p.m. A burger cookie. I don't know if I mentioned the Bitburger Radler, but this is disgusting. It's part beer, malt liquor. Tastes like fake lemon. No. Brian opened up a bag of Smart Food popcorn, didn't eat any of it, and put it in the cabinet wide open, and it immediately went stale. So I did throw it away. And my sister's really into Nerds gummy clusters, so I tried those for the first time, which I liked. Pizza. I made pizza. I saw a TikTok video where somebody made a radio. Okay, this is going to be confusing. Okay, Justine Snacks, that website, she did a radio bakery in New York, inspired sourdough focaccia. Then I saw somebody on TikTok do a variation on hers. So this is like a game of telephone. There's the radio bakery recipe, then someone interpreted it, then this person on TikTok reinterpreted it. So I kind of looked at both Justine's original recipe and the other person on TikTok's recipe. Next time, I thought this pizza was good. Next time I would cut the recipe in half. I only ended up using 200 grams of flour for a full Detroit pizza pan pizza, but it was still too bready. Like I wanted a thinner base. I ended up cooking the pizza for 7 minutes at 525 without toppings, and it was looking great, like a nice focaccia. I added toppings and cooked it for another 12 minutes. And I mean, it was like a really good Detroit style pizza. I thought that overall it maybe tasted a little bit overproofed, which I think was because of the overproofed poolish. Yeah. Anyway, so there's Justine Snacks. This is the OG recipe. The photo on her website shows these huge, beautiful bubbles and gorgeous, glorious crumb structure. And I was like, why doesn't mine look like that? But then I remembered she mixes the dough in a mixer for almost 25 minutes to get that strength. I didn't put it in a mixer at all. I just did some slap and folds and, called it a day. So I felt less bad after reading her recipe. When I worked at Good Ambler and made focaccia every week and had a really high, lofty, airy focaccia, we definitely used a mixer. You need that strength from a mixer to do that. So maybe I'll try it when I want to run my mixer for 25 minutes. When I have guests in my house, like my sisters, I don't want to run a mixer for 25 minutes because then we can't talk to each other because it's too loud. Okay, Justine Dwal. How do you say your last name? Doiron. Dwyron. Okay. Anyway, so someone named Pastry Club on TikTok. This is their version. 250 grams. It's like, okay, let's see. This is like a third of Justine's recipe. 250 grams of King Arthur bread flour, 200 grams of water, 80 grams of active sourdough. I subbed 100 grams of Polish that I already talked about, 5 grams of salt, 5 grams of water, 5 grams of salt, 5 grams of sugar, 25 grams of water, olive oil for greasing the pan. I added a gram of yeast because I wasn't using active sourdough. And my Polish was looking bad. The person, Pastry Club, said that Radio Bakery doesn't use any olive oil in the dough itself, which helps it rise to such great heights. So yeah, you mix the focaccia, you let the dough rest and hydrate. Then you do stretch and folds and slap and folds for like 3 to 4 hours. Then you cover and refrigerate overnight. And then the next day, I don't know, like 4 hours before I wanted to bake it, I put it in a pizza pan with olive oil and let it stretch and fill the pan. And baked it. So yeah, I have to remember next time I make pizza, only make 100 grams of dough or divide the 200 gram recipe in half. Okay, I didn't even finish talking about that. I made like a really simple red sauce to put over it. I tried to find cupping pepperoni at Food Lion, but they didn't have any cupping pepperoni. But they did have pepperoni on sale, so I got 2 bags. And the arugula salad I made with Parmesan, black pepper, olive oil, and balsamic vinegar was the perfect thing to go with that. And for the cheese on the Detroit style pizza, I used a giant 1-pound block of mozzarella. Not fresh mozzarella, low moisture mozzarella. And it got those really crispy, cheesy edges. Ooh. Okay. May 29th, 2026. It was a Friday. 9 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 10 a.m. Leftover Indian food. 1 p.m. Utz extra dark sourdough pretzels. 4:30 p.m. A 5-ounce pour of North Coast Brewing Company Scrimshaw Pilsner and a 5-ounce pour of Connecticut Valley Brewing Company Mackinac Peach at Raleigh Beer Garden in Raleigh, North Carolina. 5:30 p.m. A strawberry, raspberry, and Thai chili margarita, a zucchini noodle salad, tostones with pimento cheese, fried mashed potatoes, a smash burger, and a slice of chocolate cake at Lagana in Raleigh, North Carolina. 8 p.m. Haribo sour soda gummies and a Nerds Very Berry gummy cluster. I took Mary, my sister, to go visit the cows at Brian's work, and then we said, well, we can either drive home in bumper to bumper traffic or we could go out to eat and wait for the commute traffic to subside. So we went out to eat. Lagana didn't open till 5, so we stopped by Raleigh Beer Garden, went upstairs to the International Bar, and I asked if they had German lagers on tap, and they said no. They have over 386 beers on tap in the entire building, which was insane. The Scrimshaw was nice and dry. It's a local beer. The Mackinac was sour in an off, weird way. They have a double beer-battered pretzel on the menu. We left pretty shortly, and then walked up to Lagana, which was up a steep hill about 8 minutes away, and passed by Cardinal Bar, which we really should have stopped at. They have like a hot dog cart outside. Seemed like maybe a better place to get a drink. So Lagana was that recommendation from the same person who's also from New Delhi. When I went over to his house for that dinner, he said, "You guys should go to Lagana." And I said, "That's crazy that you said that because it's literally on my Google Calendar to go to Lagana tomorrow." Never ended up going. I said, "You know what? Let's go. I have a friend in town. I have a sister in town. Let's take her to Lagana." The margarita of the day was a strawberry, raspberry, and Thai chili margarita. Just like the Natalie's lemonade, it was muddy and murky and flat. My sister did not like it either. It needed acid, it needed lime. We ordered the Boko Boko, which I was confused. I was confused because I thought it was a salad. Seasonal, the ingredients are seasonal ingredients, baller sexy combination, SEXI, baller sexy combination. This salad, in quotations, was zoodles with microgreens and cashews. It tasted like sesame noodles, like sesame peanut noodles that you would get from a Chinese place. It needed acid to be qualified as, in order to qualify as a salad, you needed to add acid to it. I sound like a Top Chef judge saying that everything needed more acid, but it really did. So yeah, we ate zoodles. And to be fair, Mary and Brian loved this. I did not. I ordered the textbook burger, which is Wagyu, lettuce, tomato, onion, L sauce, and Yankee cheddar. It was good, lacy, thin edges. I liked it a lot. I think that Queen Burger was a better, trendy smash burger experience overall. Neither of them are going to compare to visiting my friend in Oklahoma, and she took me to one of those like OG onion smash burger places, old school places. But, for a trendy smash burger place, this was good. Brian got the Miss Piggy, which was a baconator on steroids, the menu said. It was good, very bacony. We ordered a Mr. Thick, which is described as a big ass French fry. It was great. It also had microgreens all over it, which I'm like, okay, you can stop. And a lot of fluffy Parmesan. It's like a deep fried mashed potato. It was good. Mary really wanted tostones. It came with pimento cheese, cheese foam, and chili oil. Brian thought that the pimento cheese was shredded carrots. I thought that they were just okay. They needed salt. We ordered chocolate cake to finish. Now, the New Delhi recommendation person told us to not get dessert. And now I understand why. We ordered the chocolate cake. It tasted like a box cake, but worse. Dried out box cake. It tasted almost exactly like Portillo's chocolate cake. Anyway, the Haribo sour sodas were a better dessert at the end of the day. Really nice and soft. But at the end of the day, I really just want fizzy cola. Haribo fizzy cola. But to go back to Lagana for a second, I would go back. It was decent. But there are definitely some things that I would not order again. May 30th, 2026. It was a Saturday. 9 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 11 a.m. Leftover pizza. 1 p.m. a key lime sorbet and graham cracker soft serve ice cream swirl and a cake cone at Broken Spoke in Hillsborough, North Carolina. 2 p.m. a cold brew with half and half from Cup of Joe in Williamsburg. 3 p.m. a pour of 2024 Grenache Blanc Lambic Sour. Fried pickled banana peppers with smoked onion ranch. Garlic fries with pink sauce. Shrimp with clarified butter. And a wedge salad at the Wooden Nickel in Hillsborough. 7 p.m. Haribo sour soda gummies. Every time someone visits, I'm trying to convince them to go to Broken Spoke to get soft serve. It's a little farm. They have cows. They have a little farm stand. Unfortunately, as I said, they do owe people money. At least 4 years ago, I knew about some things that were happening. So I do question supporting them, but I do think that the soft serve is good. I just don't like that they owed money to small farmers. Anyway, key lime sorbet swirl with graham cracker flavored soft serve. I wish that the key lime sorbet was cream based instead of sorbet based. It was great. It tastes like that what's that popsicle brand? Lime popsicle. Outshine. Outshine brand lime popsicles. That's what it tasted like. Graham cracker soft serve was good. I love it in a cake cone. Ended up going to Wooden Nickel, which is a bar in Hillsboro. Every time I tell people that I went to the Wooden Nickel or that like I'm planning to go to the Wooden Nickel, they're like, "Oh yeah." I like the Wooden Nickel, but I like bar food. So for me, it's a fun place to go and you can sit outside. But first, we got cold brew at Cup of Joe and walked around because I wanted to see the house in Hillsboro that is on the news. I talked about it two episodes ago for being the vulture house. There's a house in Hillsboro that is feeding vultures, and the town is in a battle over it. Some houses have signs up saying that they support the vultures. Other houses have their roofs torn up because these vultures and their talons. So we walked over to 208 Queen Street or something to see the vulture house. It's covered in vulture excrement. It looks like a zoo. We also saw a vulture hobbling around on the ground. Told Brian's mom about this, and she said that there are a ton of vultures in the town over from us. She said, drive past the water tower. There are about 200 buzzards sitting on the water tower at a time. She said, we need vultures, but we don't need 200 of them. That is true. Anyway, walked over to Wooden Nickel. My one qualm was we asked for share plates so that we could share the salad that we ordered. They never brought us share plates. Really I mean, they were busy, but it's like, come on. So we took turns eating the iceberg salad out of a bowl, sharing a knife. I ate part of the salad in the fry basket, which I don't know if they cleaned them, so that was weird. The beer that I got, the Lambic, was okay. It was a 7%, made with wine grapes from the south coast of France. The fresh fruit hits first before layers of lemony funk and bits of bright apple kick it. Super drinkable. That's the description. It was fine. The one cool thing about the Wooden Nickel is they have a rotating visiting brewery every month. This month it was Burial. I bet they're helping Asheville breweries out and doing a lot of Asheville breweries to help with the hurricane recovery. The reason I keep going back to Wooden Nickel is the first time I went, they had some sort of, I think it was a Florida brewery that had Brett yeasted beer. And that was so exciting to me. I haven't found a Brett yeasted beer since. So I keep going back hoping that there's another Brett yeasted beer on the menu, but so far it hasn't happened. Okay, May 31st, 2026, it was a Sunday. 8 a.m., counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 10 a.m., Utz extra dark sourdough pretzels. 12 p.m., half a can of Lagunitas IPA. 3 p.m., Cape Cod potato chips. A Bubba burger with lettuce, tomato, white American cheese, ketchup, mayonnaise, sauteed mushrooms, and caramelized onions on a toasted sesame seed bun, baked beans, potato salad, yellow cake with chocolate frosting and sprinkles, vanilla ice cream with hot fudge and a cherry, and 2 glasses of Josh Sea-Swept wine at Brian's parents' house. I woke up and collected the sour green apples on our apple trees in our yard because the squirrels are starting to eat them and they're never going to make it to proper harvest. So it's only a matter of time before they're all gone. I bit one. They're still pretty tannic and a little bit sour, but sweet enough. So I collected a container of them. I collected as many as I could, chopped them into halves and quarters, and filled up a gallon jar perfectly with them. And then I poured about a quart of water and about 4 tablespoons of sugar over that. And I have it fermenting in a cupboard. in a cabinet. I will keep you updated. I'm trying to make apple cider vinegar. So after about a week or two, I'll be able, I will have had produced alcohol. At that point, I'll strain it and then let it sit for about a month and make vinegar. I didn't wash the apples. I wanted to retain as much of the natural yeast as possible. I'm curious whether or not I'll need to add some apple cider vinegar mother yeast to it to help it get going, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, so we ate a lot of food at Brian's parents' house, as you can tell. Walked home, rolled home, was more like it. And Brian said, "What was up with that 3,000 calorie dessert?" We were celebrating 2 birthdays, so Brian's mom gave us 2 desserts each. She makes a killer box cake, I'll tell you. The yellow cake was so tender and buttery with chocolate frosting. I hear that in some parts of Virginia, what they refer to as chocolate cake is really yellow cake with chocolate frosting. The sprinkles, though, were absolute garbage. I've accidentally purchased these sprinkles before. I've talked about how 90s birthday cakes, there used to be these candy sprinkle fake pearls that I was scared of, but they were really soft. These are round balls that look very similar, but they can break your teeth. They'll break your teeth if you're not careful. Brian's dad asked why they were hard candies, asked why there were jawbreakers all over the cake, and whether or not they were supposed to be there. I don't understand why they make these. I mean, it's like putting rocks all over the cake. Really excited to try Josh Seabreeze, which is a blend of Sauvignon Blanc and Pinot Grigio, I believe. Bubba burgers are bad. Brian's mom called me early in the week. She's like, "We're going to have fancy burgers on Sunday. Is that okay?" I said, "Yeah, it's totally fine." Did not expect that to mean Bubba burgers. I think buying the cheapest quality ground beef at Food Lion, salting it and throwing it on the grill would have been better. Would have been miles better than Bubba burgers, which are unsalted and dry as hell. They're like pucks. If you need them for camping or something, I get it, but it's like they don't have any fat in them. So it's the driest thing you've ever eaten. Feels like a diet hamburger. Roscoe the dog had 1.5 hamburgers. They feel like hamburgers for dogs. The baked beans were great. The potato salad was great. Oh yeah, I forgot to let you all know I have a rash all over my body. So then Brian's mom gave me a bunch of Benadryl and Advil. So, glass of wine, some Benadryl, some Advil. Yikes. Okay, that's all I got. I will talk to you next week.